Let me first say that the deep water accident offshore is a tragedy, and there was 11 lives lost, and I believe that in knowing BP and several incidents that have happened in my district and in the past, that I think some regulations. I mean, it's a regulated industry, and I believe that BP did not follow in some of those guidelines. Should the industry be punished across the board? I don't think so. I think those that violate regulations, and especially in construction, in pre-construction, they should, if they don't follow regulations, then they should be punished. And do you punish the whole industry? I don't think so. The Gulf Coast, which is where I live, should not be punished across the board. My constituents count on the offshore energy industry for jobs. And a lot of my constituents work on those rigs offshore, and just because one incident happened, I don't believe that the rest of the industry should be punished. Now, let me just say this: should regulations be followed? I think regulations should be followed across the board. In this case, it's BP. They're the ones that are held accountable on it, and it's really hurting those of us that live on the Gulf Coast. It's just hurting industry, and I don't need to tell y'all see every day on the news. And if I had a solution, I would tell the industry what to do. But to punish across the board the offshore oil and gas industry because of one company that did not follow the rules, I don't think that's fair. Well, obviously, something wrong here. I've seen disasters before, and it all comes back. It all comes back with that they didn't do this. Some of the buildings that, for example, the Mexico City earthquake, which when I was in the fire department, I was part of the rescue team, and what we found out is some of the structure didn't have rebarb. We found out that a bunch of the construction engineers, the construction companies, even though it was in the specs, they failed to put rebarb in those buildings. That's why they went straight down. I think it's you can compare that with BP and their violations. If you try to take shortcuts, you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught, and I think that's a bad way to do business. I mean, it's not that they don't have the money. I think if regulations, whether they be federal and state regulations, that you should follow those regulations. And that way, if an incident like this happens, at least we know that you followed the guidelines. Okay, there wasn't any okay, it was just a man-made accident or a disaster. But in this case, I mean, there's several violations. I mean, construction, and what I'm seeing, just like you are in the paper, that several of the guidelines there were shortcuts taken, and with that, I believe you cannot cheat, the industry like that, or you cannot cheat construction like that, and especially when you have human lives working on those rigs. And in this case, we lost 11 lives, and that comes back to haunt you. And it certainly is haunting BP at this moment. And if there's that many incidents that BP has been, cited for, I mean, 100 plus, as compared to somebody with 8, I mean, there's something wrong. I mean, obviously the disparity factor is wrong. When you have that many citations against you, something is terribly wrong, and it needs to be fixed.